Well, get my video going. Hi, this is Everett's Watercolors, and I'm here with Simply Drawing with Everett. So good evening. I'm broadcasting from Chesapeake, Virginia, to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and around the world. And I'm on the studio tonight with my wife Gloria.
Welcome, everyone.
And she'll be following the broadcast and also checking the chat room. I got the chat room live. So if you have questions or comments during the program, go ahead, write them down, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Tonight's broadcast is going to be talking about perspective. And I've got some interesting things here to get started. Let me take you over to my overhead table, my close-up camera, and let me go over a couple of things. Tonight I'm going to use just a piece of paper. All I need two pieces of paper. 8.5 by 11 is fine. 2 pieces of paper, and I got 2 pencils. I've got an 8B, which is a darker pencil, so you can see what I'm working dark tonight, so you can see what I'm doing. And over here I've got a number 2 pencil. And this number 2 pencil is a standard pencil, probably used in grade school. And this is a number 8B, which is a very dark pencil. And I got an eraser here for erasing little marks and stuff like that. So what let's just talk about a couple of things here. Let's just start out with a little story here. Let's say I'm here I am at ground zero. This is me. I'm walking along the road, and I come to a railroad track. I'm crossing the railroad tracks. And I look to my left, and I look down the railroad tracks, and what do I see? I see 2 rails coming off to me like this. And I'm standing here. This is me. I'm X. As I look down the railroad track, these lines are parallel, and this is the vanishing. We call this the vanishing point. The vanishing point. And the rails are parallel. And what happens is that the parallel lines tend to converge together at the vanishing point. Now the horizon, if I'm looking out to the left, the horizon line is right. This is where I'm looking out over to my left. So that's the horizon line. The horizon line, I'm looking from here out across the open field next to the track, across from the track, and the vanishing point is where the rails come together off at a distance. So this is called parallel perspective. It's single point perspective, where these 2 lines are going to be parallel, come to one point. Let's take it a little bit further. Let's say we got the cross rails here on the railroad track. Of course, they get smaller and get closer together as you go out. Doing this perspective, okay, that happens. And let's say over here on the right side of the railroad track, we've got a pole. We've got a pole sticking up here. And that's something along the railroad. It might be a communication pole. It might be a telephone pole. Whatever. It's alongside the railroad track. Okay. And let's say if I have this pole, I probably got more poles down it. So let's draw this line now. This is a parallel line, or a vertical line. If I take that same vertical point and I bring it here to the top and the bottom of that pole, and as I go down toward the vanishing point, another pole will line up right here. So as you get further and further away, things get smaller. They're parallel, but they get smaller as they go toward the vanishing point. Okay? Let's take another example. Let's say next to this pole, let's say this pole is 18 feet tall, and we have a person 6 feet tall. Let's say so. A person will put the head here. Now the body is 8 times. A person is 8 head widths high. So that's a person standing there alongside of the pole. There's the head, and there's the feet. And that's 6 feet tall. That's 6 feet tall. So he'd be 1/3 of the way up the pole. 1/3 of the way up the pole. So it's 18 feet to the top, 6-foot person. Now, a person across the way, if I want to do a parallel over here, and I go use the same head, say another person 6 feet tall on the other side, then I can put another person over here. Now, if I want to go toward the vanishing point, I take the head, move it toward the vanishing point, and I take the feet, move it toward the vanishing point. Now, if another person is in line with this, closer to the vanishing point, then that would be the height of this person here. So this is what happens in one-point perspective. You've got parallel lines that all converge to a vanishing point, and then anything that's across from each other is the same height. Now, let's say I was walking a little bit further along the road here, and I see a house off to my left. Just as I come across the railroad track, I see a house. And let's say the house, it's going to be on the same horizon line, or the same. I'm on the same horizon line. And let's say I see one side of the house. This is the corner of the house I can see. I'm here now. I'm here. I'm looking at the side of the house. I'm looking here. And if the vanishing point for me, if I can see that, is over here, and I draw the back of the house, it's going to draw there. Now, the front of the house, I'm going to have another vanishing point over here, and one over here. Let's say to draw the front of the house. So this is a 2-point. I have a vanishing point on both sides of this house. This vanishing point is for the left side of the house. This vanishing point is for the right side of the house. Okay, and that's what I'm looking at, the corner of the house right here. And of course, the rooftop would be up here somewhere, and this would be going down to the vanishing point also. This is called oblique perspective. Oblique or oblique. This is parallel, and that's oblique. So this is what is called a perspective system. And that's what most people, if you were an architectural drawing, or you were doing some other scientific things with numbers and letters and so forth, and angles, then the perspective system would be used, where you have angles and distances and so forth. But we're going to use something different tonight. We're going to use what is called sighting. Let me go back to my main camera. Now, when I say sighting, if I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to measure an object, I move my arm out to the straight, and I use the eraser side as one point, and I use my thumb as the other point, and I can measure the height, vertical. I can measure the length and width, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. And if I want to do an angle, I can also measure angles compared to the horizontal or compared to the vertical. For example, 45 degrees here would be off to the 45-degree angle to the vertical. Okay, so when I say sighting, I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm going to move it out to a position and measure it step by step. Okay, so let's go to my close-up camera. All right, so let's take an example. We're going to take another sheet of paper, and on this case, we're going to draw the interior of a room. Interior of a room. So there's a photograph of an interior, corner of a room, and we're going to draw that on a piece of paper. Okay. Now, so the first thing I do is I'm going to sight the height of that. I'm going to sight the height of that one out with my arm extended out, and the eraser touching the top of the corner of the room, and my thumb touching the bottom. That gives me a length and a dimension. All right, now I can bring that down to my paper now. And I can mark that on the, let's say I mark it on the page. Let's say I'm going to use my other pencil here to make myself a couple references here. All right, so now I can draw that line, a vertical line which represents that corner of the wall or corner of the room. Okay, now I'm going to mark that nice and dark using the 8B pencil. Do a vertical line. Okay, now in order to measure the angle, I can take that same, I'll take a pencil, now use the edge of the paper which is horizontal, and I'm going to compare that angle at that corner. I'm going to compare the angle going off to the right, this angle over here, compared to the horizontal. And you can see it's a shallow angle, but it goes off to the right. I got the horizontal mark there. Now I come down to my point on the paper, and I'm going to draw that in. Now I'm going to darken that so you can see that. So what I did there, I'm going to mark another, here's the horizontal line. Now what I did was I measured this angle right here. I measured the angle from the horizontal. I measured an angle up to the slope of that of the ceiling of that of the room. Now let's go to the other side. I'm going to go put the horizontal line down, which is the pencil. Now I'm going to look at that angle to the left, on the left wall. And it's a little bit greater than the one on the right. Almost double. All right, so I come down here, and I'm going to put that, I'm going to angle that off. And I'll mark it in roughly. And I'll draw that in, I'll draw it in a little bit darker now. You see what I did. So I'm going, okay. So now I've got this, I got the corner of the wall, I've got the corner of the room, and I've got these two angles from this point here. I measured them by using the sighting. So I'm using sighting to find the angles. All right, now down at the bottom on the floor, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the pencil here at the corner, and I'm going to measure that angle. It might be better to come from above, and I'll use both. Let me use both hands like this. So I'm going to take the pencil and hold the end of the pencil in both hands, and put it at that corner at horizontal to the paper. I'm going to measure that angle. So right now I'm going to measure the angle right here. So I come down here to this point. Now I'm sighting it in. I'm eyeballing this in. I'm not measuring. I'm not copying it or whatever. But I'm sighting it. I'm eyeballing it, and that's what most artists do. They don't measure things exactly. It's eyeballing. It's called sighting. Is really an eyeball. You're estimating. And we're going to do the same thing with the other corner, the other wall, the other bottom. So the other corner, I'm going to put the horizontal there, and I'm going to measure. I'm going to estimate this angle down here. It's a little bit steeper than this angle over here. A little bit steeper. So I'm going to eyeball that in. Now let me draw that a little bit darker. I'm drawing it darker so it's easier for you to see the marks. Okay. So what we've done now, we've actually marked in the corners. We've actually marked in the quarters of the room, and it looks pretty accurate to what I see here. Remember, this is sighting. I haven't measured the thing. So, and let's take something here. Let's take this. Looks like a closet door here. And let's put that in. So how do we do that? Well, number one, we go in and we sight some. We go in there and we take the pencil and we sight some dimensions. I put my arm out. Extend my arm and take a measurement, and that's the size of that is really the size of the eraser. So I'll mark that in. That's the vertical edge. That's the vertical edge of that what I see. And it comes all the way down to the base of the room. Now we're going to need this distance up here at the top. So what we'll do is we'll take another measurement of that. Oh, I gotta move the board up a little because I'm at an angle. Okay, and I get a distance that out on the eraser. So I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to make a mark. All right. And I have to look at that angle now. I go up there. That angle is a little bit shallow, almost the same as the one above. They're almost parallel. Almost parallel. I'm going to estimate that. Now the other dimension I need the width. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to measure the width of that closet area. It's a closet. So I'm going to put the eraser on one end, on the left, and I'm going to take my thumb and measure the width of that item, or that object, and I get this dimension. And I'll come down here and mark it with a pencil. So now I know how far to come over. You know, this angle here is going to meet that corner, and this is parallel. This is vertical, so it's going to come down all the way down to the floor. Okay, so I can continue on this way, measuring different objects in the room. I take the pencil, I can cite the angle, I can cite the dimension, how wide it is, how tall it is, and so forth. Okay, now I could show you. Now you can also use the system, what I call a perspective system, to find. Let me show you a little trick here about how do I find the center of this door here. This doorway has a split here, which is if we looked at it straight on, it'd be split in the middle. But how do you something on the angle? How do you find the center of that? Well, the way I do it is I make an X across this space here. I make an X from corner to corner. You go from corner to corner, and where it crosses, that's the center of that square, and that goes vertical. So that there gives me the center of that storage space. And you can see here that this area here is a little bit wide, because we're looking at an angle, at the perspective of the light. So this one's going to look a little bit wider than that side, and it looks about right. Okay. Now I can play around with certain things. What I like to do, let's say, let's take an object that's not in the photograph. Let's say we want to put a table. Say we want to put a table against the wall. So I got a picture of a table here. It's got a top and it's got 4 legs. And so I want to put that in the room. So I get a photograph. I look at a photograph. So I'm going to estimate some of the things here. So let's say I'm going to put the wall over here on this wall over here, on this side of the room right here. I'm going to put a table right in there. So I can start with the legs. I can go up and I can say, okay, that's this thing. Okay. Here's how we estimate the size. Let's say this wall now is about 9 feet. Let's say it's a 9-foot ceiling. A 9-foot ceiling. And we want to come up, say, a third of the way. It's about 3 feet. So we're eyeballing this again. 1/3 of 9 is 3 feet. What I need another perspective line. So how do I get the perspective for this side over here? What I do is I can extend these lines. This line here, from this side up here, I can from this right side I can extend those lines. I can extend this. Okay. And what that does when I cross those, that's the vanishing point. That's the vanishing point for this whole wall over here. Okay, this whole wall. So if I want to put an object, let's say, and I'm going to need this one too. I'm sorry. this wall here, I can take these lines. I don't want to confuse you. What I'm trying to find is I'm going to try to find the horizon line. So I can take this line out here and go this way and extend this line. And I get another vanishing point over here. Okay, so now I got a horizon. I got a horizon line. Okay. So what I can do here now with this vanishing point here, I can draw. Let's see, this sign here. How do I want to do that? So 3 feet. What's going to happen is this 3 feet here is going to look like this 3 foot high table. It's going to be a pretty high table, but it's okay. We're going to play it that way. That's going to come down. Let's see. It's not working out the way I want it to. This angle here. It's going to be over here. That doesn't look right. Okay, it's not working the way I want it to. I'm going the wrong way. Okay, I'm going the wrong way. This is the wall. I want to come out. That's my problem. Yeah, I want to come out. I want to come out from the wall. And the leg's going to come down here. I need to get it straight first. Okay, so let's erase those lines. I made a mistake here on the first. I got the first line wrong. So just as an estimate now, this is a taller table that I really need against this wall, but the top of the table would be parallel with this wall here because it's going to be against the wall. This end of the table is going to be parallel to this wall over here, which would be this angle. The front of the table is going to be parallel to this wall, so it's going to go along the bottom here like that. And this side of the table here is going to be parallel to this wall over here. So it needs this vanishing point over here. And the legs. If this leg comes down to the wall, this will come down here, and this leg will come out here, and this leg over here will come down here. Okay, so that's an example of putting an object into a room like this. It was a very sloppy, messy way I did that, but I was trying to explain how to add. So what I did was to put a box or put a table or a piece of furniture or something in this room. What I did was, okay, I know it's a flat surface. So I'm going to I estimated the height of the table, which I said 3 feet. This is a 9 foot wall. So I went up 1/3 of the way, which makes it 9 feet. And that point there with the let's see, am I right? This vanishing point here from these two sides coming together, coming up a little higher. That vanishing point there, that describes the angle of the back of the table from this point here over here. So that's the angle. The depth of it into the wall is going to be created by this one over here. And then the intersection here would be the front of the table. And then this angle here would come from the back of the table to the front of the table. Now the legs, they're going to be defined by this vanishing point here, which comes from there, and it's going to go out this because it's level. And this one over here is going to take that out, and this over here. And this is going to go here, and this, as you see here, the vanishing point here, those table legs are going to hit together because they're all lined up on that's all parallel to this side over here. Okay. All right. So what we've done, as review, what we've done is we've taken a view of a empty room, or say an interior room, and we've drawn the angles. We found the size of the wall by sighting using a pencil and bring it down to your drawing. And then we also sighted the angle by taking the pencil up and do a horizontal and then estimating the angle and just eyeballing that angle in to create that same angle on the paper. And we did it also with the other side. And we went down to the floor and did the same thing. With the base of the floor at the corner, we got the angle of the bottom of the wall. We came down here and drew the bottom of the wall in, and we did the same thing with the other wall, the bottom. Okay, so that gave us the corner and the two sides. Then I went ahead and measured the width of this little section here for the closet door. Got the spacing. Also got the distance here from the ceiling down to the top. And then we got we also sighted in the width of the door of the closet. We came down here and put it in. That angle, we measured an angle, but the distance here of the angle was there. We measured the angle from the top. It's almost parallel to the ceiling. And then I showed you a real quick, easy way to find the center of this square here. And that's just by doing an X. And where they cross is going to be the center of that square. Okay. And then I went and tried to just do a quick example of how you would put a table or a piece of furniture or something in a room. And what I did is I extended these lines to find the vanishing points. Oh, this here would be the vanishing point for this wall. And I extended these for the vanishing points for this section here. And then I drew the lines in for the distances of the tabletop and the legs. Okay? That was a little bit messy. I think you should try that. I would recommend you get a room like this, or find a room in your own house. I've done it. I can do it here in the studio, but find a room in your own house and measure the wall, measure the angle, and then put some furniture in there, and then try to size it out. Now you can do sizing. If I wanted to size that furniture, if I had a piece of furniture, I could size it. I could put these pencil up there and find the width of the table and the height of the table and the angle. So I could do that by sighting. But here I just did it by an eyeball. I said, okay, let's estimate 3 feet and so forth. So that concludes my little demonstration of the drawing today of perspective and sighting. So sighting perspective is the way artists do a perspective on a particular object. Now this can be done in landscapes. I wanted to show you one example I did this past week. I did this this drawing here. I did both I did the wall and both closet doors here, and I put it in using a Sharpie, showing the corners of the wall. So I got basically the same thing I did tonight. But I've gone ahead and taken it. I had a picture of a street scene. Now here, it's the same idea. You've got certain angle. You got you find this is basically the horizontal right here. The edge of the roof is about the edge of the street's about the horizontal. It's pretty close to the edge of the paper. But all these angles here for the windows are all different, and they all meet all these angles meet because they're parallel. They're all horizontal, they're parallel. But because they're at an angle, they're all going to meet at a vanishing point down here on this side. So that's how you would start a diagram like this. And I drew this out. Let's see, where is my sample? Okay, here's my sample I did using a Sharpie. I drew in the street angle. Then I put in the angles of the buildings, the windows, and then I estimated. I went in and I sized I actually sized the size of the windows using a pencil, and I put those on my paper the same way. And I even drew the little cars in, the little cars here down the street. That's interesting also. Little cars. I even there's some people down here. I took one or two people, and you can see they all line, their heads all line up. They get a little, as you come this way, they get taller, but the heads all line up on a horizontal. Every single one of them. And their feet, of course, is on the curb or on the sidewalk. Okay, so here's an example of taking a street scene and also doing the same thing with sighting. You got the vertical of the buildings, you got the horizontal of the street, then you got the angles of the windows and whatever else is in the picture. Okay, so that's another good example of a landscape or a street scene. But I thought tonight showing you how to draw a room, interior room, is another good example, a quick and easy example showing you how to get those sightings of the angles and the sizes and so forth. Okay, and that's what we did tonight. We used sighting and getting the perspective of the room. Let's go back to the main camera. All right, so the thing about perspective is that even I've been doing it for a long time, and you can get confused a little bit on perspective, finding out where your vanishing points are or so. But if you take your time and look at it and analyze it some more, and take your time, go back and look, study it, you'll find that it works every single time. And after you do sighting, and also you can do a little bit of use a little bit of perspective system, which is to line up the parallels and so forth, and get some vanishing points. So I use a combination of both at the end there to put that table in. I use a combination of the perspective system and the sighting. So that concludes tonight's program on the perspective using sighting. And I invite you all back next week at 7:30, the same time and same place, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. And 2 o'clock, I'm also on Everetts Watercolors. I do a painting demonstration, a watercolor painting demonstration. So I can see it 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening. So next week on Thursday evening and Thursday afternoon. So good night for now, and subscribe to my channels. It helps my rating. And give me a thumbs up. So